Okay guys, so this is the boat I picked up today at Ross. This is a 2024 Caracal. So this is a 20-foot, 2-inch boat. It's the STS, it's a soft touch series. It's got the C-deck flooring, very traditional bass boat layout, with the exception of the fact that, which I'll show you tomorrow, or maybe I'll show you in a minute, it's a smaller middle box and then a front box and then your net scabbard up there. This is actually Kelly Jordan's boat. I think this boat's, so Kelly's in a 2025 now. I would imagine chomping at the bit to order a 2026. So if a guy wanted a Caracal, I would think this would be a really good boat. This boat is basically, it's not right. So Bass Cat makes two 20-foot 2-inch boats and two 20-foot 7-inch boats. So the Lynx and the Puma are basically the same boat, 20-foot 7-inch, 96-inch beam, and just a different top cap. The Era and the Caracal are both 20-foot 2-inch boats. The difference is the Era is a 94-inch beam and the Caracal is a 96-inch beam. It's a soft touch, so it's got more width. And by the way, this is my crap scattered in the boat, not Kelly's stuff. This boat was really clean when I picked it up an hour and a half ago. You see, we're going on a camping trip with the YMCA this weekend. So number one, I made sure I still knew how to put the tent together. Number two, I want to make sure it still had zippers and stuff. But so this boat, I'm really interested. It's got a really different kind of cockpit layout over there with the raised corner section. I noticed this particular boat, he did have the option of the parking brake. A guy who travels a lot. Looks like they pulled the spare tire for one reason or another. But this boat, it's interesting. So generally speaking, the three fastest boats are the Cougar, the Caracal, but most consider the Era the fastest boat. Kelly told Ryan that this is an 80-mile-an-hour boat. Now, I'm gonna get on it tomorrow. Rayburn's low, but I'm gonna go in an area where I feel pretty confident I can run the boat pretty hard. I'm real curious to see how fast it is. You're gonna see tomorrow, I've got a little bit of ballast because I don't have the boat really loaded. I'm gonna add a little bit of weight to the boat. I've got tackle in the boat, but I'm gonna add some weight to the front of the boat, and I'll explain that later. But I'm interested to run the boat. I like the layout of the boat. You know, obviously Kelly can run whatever he wants to run, and he's run at least two of these, and I think he's ordering a third one. So there's something about this boat he really likes. So I'm real interested to see the boat. I do want to measure the boat here in the barn, so let's do that really quick so we can get that out of the way. And then we'll do just like we've done all these boats in the past. We'll do some measurements. And you know, guys, I want to mention this and kind of say thanks to my buddy Willie. You will remember Willie. He's the guy who had the Vexus that we reviewed a few years ago. Lives over in the Mid-Cities, Fort Worth area. And he's put a couple of thoughts in my head. So as I was saying, Willie's put a couple of thoughts in my head that he has a different experience in how he fishes than I do. So two things, and I'm just saying this for your consideration when you're shopping for a boat. So Willie keeps his boat most of the time in his boat slip. And his comment to me was two things. Number one, how that opens, right? How that rear box, if you got to get to your batteries or to your breakers or anything in the rear box, if it opens the way a Bass Cat opens, generally speaking, in other words, back to front, it's really difficult in a boat slip to access stuff. Now, I'm not biased about this, I don't care, but I think Bass Cat has the best solution with that removable box lid. You just lift it up and scoot it and it's out, and you can reach anything you want to back there. But his comment to me was, he really likes, because of how he keeps his boat, one that opens front to back so that when he's in the boat stall, he can get to all his stuff. And of course, he would like that as well. Or side to side, which you don't see much anymore, but you know, all of my older Rangers had the front to back opening. I don't know if Rangers still do that or not, but that's just a thought to think about. It's Zavala, glass pack, or log truck, or chicken truck. But that's just something to think about when you're shopping for a boat, is access in the back. If you keep it in a boat barn, it doesn't matter, right? But if you keep it in a boat slip, that's something to think about. But one of the things Willie said to me that really struck me because of my being so spoiled is the amount of storage in a boat. And I have that, right? I have a big barn and I have multiple rolling pegboards, so I can just roll that up, right? That's the thing the kids here at Zavala High School built for me. I can roll it up, and I seldom will have anything in my boat that I'm not using that day or in the next couple of weeks. So through the winter, there are not you know, top waters in the boat. I know tomorrow I'm going shallow, there's not going to be big crankbaits in the boat. Willie said to me, and I thought this was interesting, because he doesn't have the barn space like that, and because he keeps his boat in his boat slip, he said 70 or 80% of all the tackle he has is in his Vexus, which is why he needs lots and lots of storage. And I bet you, not right now, but on a typical day, less than 15% of all the tackle I own is in my boat, because I have the ability to access my tackle really easy. So that's something else to think about, right? Bass Cat's a perfect example. If you keep most of your tackle, or you're just a heavy tackle guy, you carry a lot of tackle, you're gonna like the Lynx more than any other Bass Cat, because it's got that one great big box in the center. This boat has a moderate sized box there, and a moderate sized box there, a moderate sized box there, and of course your rod box over there. It's got decent sized rear boxes. But if you carry a lot of tackle, or carry most of your tackle all the time, and you travel and you're fishing different places, this is probably not the perfect boat for you. There's other boats with a lot more storage, so that's just something to think about. How you fish, the access to your tackle, how much tackle you carry. So I thought those were interesting things. One more thought, and I'm not gonna say who this is, because he said something to me in confidence about his boat brand. It's not a Bass Cat. But he said to me, one of the things that frustrates him about his boat is the boat is extremely weight conscious to the front end. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it seems like to me, he said it's 3 to 6 miles an hour difference if there's a lot of weight in the front end or a little weight. So literally on tournament days, when he needs to go fast, or he wants to go fast, he's carrying way less tackle. He's just emptying the boat out and really kind of taking the bare minimums. So because that makes sense to me, and because I'm a geek, and because there's a way to quantify that, I bought this. I bought a 40-pound bag of deer corn. So on all the boats that I check now, you know, by the way, Kelly in this boat is running 4 great big AGM batteries back there, so he's not running lithiums in this boat. Maybe why this boat's so fast to getting so much lift out of the boat. But I'm gonna play with that bag tomorrow, move it to the front of the boat, probably move it to here, and maybe even move it way up, because a bag of corn is not really gonna move around very much. And I'm really curious how sensitive this boat is to weight. So I took all of my stuff out of my Puma the other day before I sold it. And I was really surprised to discover, between the 40+ rods and reels that I carry and the tackle that was in the front of the boat, I was carrying close to 90 pounds in the front of my boat. I just weighed stuff as I got it out. So an extra 40 pounds is a lot of extra tackle, and I think that's gonna make a difference in pretty much all these boats, and I'm really curious to see how much difference it makes. So when you see me fishing for the next few months, and you see there's a bag of deer corn on the front deck, or on the back deck, or in the floor, or in a box, I'm not out baiting deers for deer hunting. I'm actually just doing stuff that interests me to see how weight distribution impacts these boats. If you haven't seen, I did what I think is one of my best videos several months ago, maybe even a year ago, talking about weight distribution and how it changes performance of a boat. The video was specific to lithium batteries, because a lot of guys slow down with lithium batteries. But if you haven't seen that video, I'll post a link right there above, or if you don't see that, go down to the description, there'll be a link where you can go see that video. I think that's a really interesting video, and I've gotten a lot of comments and a lot of questions off that video. So let's measure the Caracal. Sorry, that was a big introduction, so obviously this is going to be at least 2 videos looking at the Caracal. But let's measure the boat up there, and we'll kind of contrast and compare it to other boats we've measured in the past, and just see how much fishing space there is in a relatively small 20-foot boat, 20-foot 2-inch boat. I think this boat's rated for up to 300s. So up to 300 horsepower motor on here. Let's check it out, guys. Okay, so if you remember in the original boat series, we just measured the front deck space from the back of the furthest most seat hole, if there was only one seat hole, obviously from the one seat hole. So the Bass Cat has 2 seat holes, one in case you want to move the trolling motor foot pedal way forward, which is not in this boat, not how I run my boat. So I'm going to measure it the way I run my boat, which will be the back seat pedal. But then we did a second measurement at the back of the trolling motor pedal too, which we did in a later video. I'll put a link to that video right there, which I think is a really good measure of kind of square footage in the space that we typically fish in. And this has become, I think personally, even more important as we got more guys scoping, because if only one guy can stand on the front deck while you're scoping, it gets really hard to fish out the front on one of these boats. Okay, so from the back seat pedal, 66 inches, and I'm gonna pull up some numbers here in a second and we'll compare those. And at the back of the trolling motor pedal, right there, $57 inches. So let's compare that to the other boats, 66 and 57. Okay, I'm gonna do this commentary when I can actually look at this and compare them, so just bear with me. I'll cut away and do this as I'm editing. But I've got the numbers there, so we'll compare those to the other boats that we've measured and some more boats that we're about to measure. So I'm going to do a little bit of fishing in the next few days with a buddy in a Phoenix. Hopefully he'll let me do a little bit of measuring on his boat too, because it's one of the newer model Phoenixes. So stick around, check it out. Ow, I'm getting bit. Golly, mosquitoes everywhere. Holy cow! Stick around, guys. So I've been crawling around. So I've been crawling around in the Caracal tonight. Yes, I've had a beer and a half. And I've noticed something that surprises me. The Cockpit, it's got that step. But there's actually more room, and I think what it is, I'm gonna measure it. This boat sits, the hole, if you will, the cockpit floor seems, again, I've been fooled by this before, but seems a lot deeper than some of the other boats. And the result is it's roomier. It's a lot roomier. So again, I'm 6'1", 6'2", according to which, convenience store I've robbed. Look at my knees almost hit the dash when I sit down in my Puma. This boat just has a lot more room, and this is a big guy boat. I like this. I'm gonna do some measurements because I've never thought about this before. Let's check it out. So from the cockpit floor to the front deck, I'm gonna say that's 21 inches. From the front of the seat to the bottom of the console is 13.5 inches. And from the back of the seat to the console, I'm gonna say that's about 30 inches from there to right under the console. And then the seat, I know I'm giving you all bad measurements or bad angles on it, but the seat sits a good 15 inches off the floor. I'm real curious now, when we go to Ross tomorrow, I think there's a Puma there. I'm real curious to measure a Puma or a Lynx or something and get that same kind of measurements and figure out why there's so much more room in the cockpit in this boat. That's really interesting to me. I was actually just over here making sure I knew where everything was and making sure his electronics worked and everything, and sat down and I'm like, I mean, even when I put my boat in gear, I'm tighter than I am in this boat. So they've given you more space here in the 24 Caracal. good to know. Big dudes, this might be a boat for you to look at. Big dudes being guys bigger than me. There's going to be more room in this boat. The step up is odd. Kelly's hot foot, it could still go further forward. Not, I actually couldn't. It's about as far forward as it could go. But it's interesting, and I think as I reflect on it, I think because this is so deep is why they put this step here, because this is so deep. I mean, that's a 4-inch lip sticking up there. And I think they did that because it would feel clumsy to have that hot foot way down low like that. So, interesting. Just as I've thought about this, as I've done these reviews, you know, I've done, I don't know, 30 boats now. I keep seeing things and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Or guys like Willie saying stuff to me, I'm like, good point. Or my other buddy talking about the weight distribution and how weight sensitive some of these boats are. So, interesting stuff to look into. And just, you know, food for thought as you're buying a boat or going through these things. All right, guys, that seems like a good place to break. So we'll come back later this week with part 2, which will be on the order footage, including some high-speed passes in this boat. And by the way, I did get to spend a day already in the Icon. So the Icon review will start in about a week. Some things to say about that boat. I like some things about it. I dislike some things about it. And we'll share the Icon. That'll be the LX21 will be the first Icon review. So thanks for tuning in. If you don't subscribe, please do hit that subscribe button. And we'll be back to you guys with part 2 of the Bass Cat Caracal in a couple days. Thanks, guys.